last few weeks and what has been happening in the community since it was perhaps created. It is our mission to help shape a new Tivoli and indeed a new Jamaica. Far too many have died, and it's time for us to turn a new page. We simply cannot continue like this. But before we get into the program, let's take a quick look at how we perhaps got into these problems to begin with. Tivoli Gardens has a notoriety of being Jamaica's most feared garrison. Its image is often splattered across the local and international media as a prototype for Jamaican gangsterism, gunslinging and disorder. But for some residents, there's no place like home. They perceive it to be orderly, full of entertainment and well managed. It is a situation which reveals the two Jamaicas and the clash of identity that is often debilitating towards fostering unity and progress. When manifested physically, the clashes can be deadly, as borne out in the confrontations between the security forces and armed thugs in 1997, 2001, and now in 2010. But to understand Tivoli, one has to go back to its root. Tivoli emerged through the vision of Edward Seaga. Seaga, who was a member of Parliament and Minister of Development in the 1960s, sought to create a new community out of the decadence that post-colonial neglect and urbanization had thrust on Western Kingston. In the 1960s, the squatter settlement, Bacco Wall, was bulldozed, and up went Tivoli Gardens. It was a bold and ambitious move, which perhaps would have been successful were it not for political tribalism, which manifested in the 1970s.
Due to political fiction, man gone in a different segregation.
Communities such as Rema, Denham Town, Arnett Gardens, and Jonestown were used against themselves. It was a war much bigger than the communities. In fact, it was bigger than Jamaica. At the heart of it were two clashing political ideologies, a breed of socialism backed by the USSR and democracy/capitalism backed by the United States. This was the Cold War, the so-called war between the AK and M16. And it was being played out in Little Jamaica, in communities such as Tivoli. Today, the Cold War has ended, at least in terms of the physical clashes, but communities such as Tivoli never quite recovered. They were taken over by the area leaders. These so-called dons converted the poor, often neglected communities into enclaves for drug and gun running. Whereas in the past they got their guns and money from unscrupulous politicians, today these dons get their money from wealthy drug cartels who solicit their help to move drugs, guns and other illegal merchandises through our ports and territorial waters. Many provide security for their communities and are quick to provide other services which the state fails to provide. Christopher Dudus-Coke is alleged to be one such don. It is believed that in order for Jamaica to progress, the state will have to get rid of area leaders such as Dudus and start playing its rightful role as a protector of communities. Thank you. Welcome back. It's interesting, you know. 23 days ago, there was a lot of stuff happening here in Tivoli Gardens. There were barricades that were set up. And there are some of us who are inside the barricade and